Morning. Right, here we are. Everything's all nicely dried off, so just a question of now making it nice and waterproof. I've just been out and bought this stuff. It's stain and varnish all in one. It says it's walnut. No idea how it's going to look in the end, but I don't mind too much as long as it's a brownish colour, something that's going to blend in with the background, and it's waterproof. So I'm going to start putting that on now. Let's see what happens. Well, what I think I might do actually is if I get this one, the old one, and see if I can, yeah. So that way I can actually paint all of the surfaces without the bottom sticking to the desk here. Let's see what this looks like. Well, wouldn't be my first choice, but it says walnut. We'll see how it dries out. Well, that's the first coat on, and to be honest, it doesn't look too bad. It's drying out a little bit lighter than I thought it would. I'll put a second coat on, and this being a stain and varnish, I'm hoping that'll be the final coat. Obviously, I've still got to do the inside yet, so it's probably going to be the rest of the day before I can get this finished. And in all reality, I probably won't be able to put the rest of the stuff on until tomorrow. So I guess it's just a question of wait and see now then. Me again, it's 24 hours since I did the varnishing, staining and varnishing. I've got 2 coats on everything now. Everything is all nicely dried, and I have to say I'm quite pleased with the colour as it came out. And of course now we're starting to look like we're getting towards a proper box. If I just put that on there for a second, there you go. Now what I did do whilst I was waiting for the paint to dry on here, I cut myself a lid, and I've actually painted the bottom just in preparation rather for getting the upholstery on. I've done the edges too, and of course that will just go that way around and sit on the top. So the next thing we've got to do then is to put the foam on and get the vinyl on top. To upholster the lid, I've been out and I've bought some of this vinyl. Now I've bought grey because I find that during the summer black gets really hot and it makes it very uncomfortable to sit on if you've not been sitting on it for a few minutes. It really does retain the heat. So I'm hoping that this grey colour will reflect the heat and hopefully make for a more comfortable experience when I sit down. So I've laid it out on the bench. Here's my lid, and I'm going to give myself a good overhang all around there, and I'm just going to cut straight across there now and then down here, so that gives me enough to be able to come over the foam when I put it on and connect down to here. I can trim off any excess later on. The foam itself, as you'll see, has started off obviously way too big for the lid, but that's okay. I could just put a mark around it now and try and cut it, but I'll show you a little trick on how to do that if you have a bandsaw later. So now we've got the vinyl cut, we have to glue the lid to the foam here. And I'm going to use some of this stuff, which is called Quick Grip. I thought I'd actually got some spray stuff left, but I will try that because I might as well use it up. The idea being that we just spray it on liberally to both surfaces. There we go. Make sure you get to the edges. Good coating. That's it. Now this stuff being impact adhesive or contact adhesive, we have to give it sort of 10, 15, 20 minutes to dry. It's quite hot today, so that should be okay in about 15 minutes. Having done that part, we also need to do the foam. Now I'll probably run out of this, so I'll go on to the tin stuff shortly. Although I said to you a moment ago when we were doing the vinyl you didn't need to draw a line around the top of the lid, I have drawn one because it shows me where I've got to put the glue. So let's get that on now and see if we can get to a point where we've got enough on here to be able to stick it down. This is starting to run out, I'm afraid. Yep, running out. Okay, well as I expected, that's pretty much done. So I'll just finish putting this coat of glue on from the normal container here. The glue's all dry now. Certainly touch dry. Been about 20 minutes on both sides. And now, slightly tricky part here. I've got to stick this to there, but as soon as it touches, it's going to stay there, and it's going to stay there forever. So I'm going to be very careful. Just lay that on the edge, make sure I've got everything properly lined up, like so, and then just lay it down and press. And if I've got this right, we should have a nice edge all the way around. Yep, not bad at all. Fractional overhang on there, but that's not going to make any real difference to anything. So, quite pleased with that. Thing is now stuck forever, as you see. So now all we've got to do is cut off the excess foam. I'll do that on the bandsaw. There's no real trick involved here as such, folks. It's just using the bandsaw to run down this edge and give me a nice clean cut. So let's see if we can put that into practice. Don't worry if you haven't got a bandsaw, you could just as easily use one of these long bladed knives. Do exactly the same kind of thing, just run it along the edge of the wood and it makes you a perfectly good cut. We've now got the foam on to the lid and we're going to put the upholstery on. My advice is make sure you've got your overhang, find a really clean cut edge. If yours didn't come out clean, usually when they cut it at the shop, that's a good clean straight edge. So take it up, make sure you've got your overhangs all around, and then just get this sitting neatly and straight, that's it, on the edge. Get one of these upholstery tacks, push it in, and nail. Work your way along, keeping the thing straight. Probably every 50 millimeters or so I'd suggest you put a tack in. Right, so that's the front or back edge done. Turn it around. And now what we're going to do is do exactly the same thing on this one, but I'm going to be pulling just a little bit of pressure on there, not too much, not enough to sort of bend that down flat, just enough to take the tension up, and I'm going to repeat that same process. Again, I'm no expert on this kind of thing, but from practice in the past I've found if you start in the middle, like that, keeping the pressure on, and just work your way outwards. Again, keeping the pressure on. And there we go. I'm just going to run along this excess now with the knife. Firm pressure. Doesn't matter if it's a little bit raggy at this point, you can always tidy up later. And then just run it straight out to the end. If you miss anywhere, just get that bit. And then obviously finish off on this one here, trying to keep it parallel. There we go. So that's not too bad. I can tidy that up a little bit, but I shouldn't need it because we're going to put a decorative strip on there anyway. Now the tricky part. We've got to get these edges sorted out here. I always have issues with this. It's not actually that difficult, it's just that sometimes I need 3 hands. Let's crack on with it anyway. Because I've given myself plenty of overhang here, I'm going to just put a black line on, giving myself sort of ½ inch, couple of centimetres extra. I don't want all of this that we've got at the moment. Just something like that. And I'll cut that off just very quickly with a pair of scissors, so I haven't got too much hanging over while I'm trying to do the upholstery. I've cut the excess off on both edges, and now I'm going to pull this one around and just put one tack in there just to hold it down. As you see. Now the idea is that we're going to pull this around and down, and that will create a nice edge which we can trim off shortly. So I've pushed it in, pulling down. Now this time I'm going to start from one of the edges. Not too much pressure, just check for that. Get a tack in. Check, yeah, nice and neat, no major issues there. Do the same on the other one, pull it down, tack in, okay, and then just more tacks in between here just to finish off. There we go. Neat as I need it. I'll trim off down here now, and then I'll repeat the same process at the other side, and at that point we'll have a completed seat box lid. So that's the seat almost complete then, folks, certainly upholstery wise. I am going to put some decorative edging on it. These things are available from upholstery shops online. There may even be one in your town. And what's going to happen is I'm going to put it around the edge just to make it look nice. So before I can fit this decorative edging, I've got to fit some other things onto the box first. I've got these catches which fit onto the front to hold the lid down to the box. I've obviously got hinges to go on the back, and at the side I've got these which hold the strap on. So I'll get all those fitted, and then once I've done that, I'll know exactly where I can put these strips. Obviously I'm going to have to cut them. They have little tacks, decorative tacks, which go into these holes here every sort of 50mm or so, but sometimes they're just in slightly the wrong place. So a little bit of fiddling around beforehand just makes it easier for you in the long run. So first of all, the hinges then. I'm going to drill a 2mm hole into the lid, gently, and making sure it stays level. There we go. And when you buy your hinges, these ones are sort of fairly small, but I have to have them fairly small because I've only got 9mm of wood there. The screws that very often come with these are tiny. I've used these, which are probably 1 inch long, 25mm long. They've got a good coarse thread on them, and I can fit them very easily. Now, it's not always a good idea to use a battery operated screwdriver, because sometimes you can go too mad and you'll strip the thread in the wood. So just finish off with a screwdriver so it's nice and tight, but without being something which is going to strip the wood. Do the same for the other part of the hinge, and the same for a hinge over here, and then we'll get on to the catches. So that's the hinges attached to the back, catches attached to the front, but you'll notice that I haven't actually attached the lower parts of the catch, and I also haven't attached the lower parts of the hinge. And the reason for that is that it's a lot easier to put that upholstery strip on here when it's off the box than when it's on. So I'll do that now. These are the small pins that come with the decorative strips. I've already bent the strip to shape and cut it off where I want it to be. So all I've got to do is just put this pin in the hole at the end of the strip. And in this case I was able to just push it in because it's plywood. It does stay, don't worry. Next one is 50mm long, and that just goes in neatly. I will actually tap this one. There we go. Work your way around till you've got to the end, and then repeat the process for the other edge down here at the bottom, and of course then just fill in strips in between here. Well, after about half an hour of effort, we've got the decorative strips on, we've got the catches on the front, and we've attached the hinges on the back. The only thing I want to do next is when the lid opens, what you don't want is for it to just flop right back, and basically that can destroy all the hinges. So the plan is, I'm going to get a piece of chain, and I'm just going to attach it to this side, screw it in, and that'll hold the lid open just at that angle there and stop the problem from occurring. Other than that, just got to get on these brackets for the strap, bolt down, and we're more or less ready to go. So for the side chain then, I've taken out one of the pins and I've drilled it to accept a screw. Smallish screw with a couple of washers on. The washers are there to stop the chain from falling out, and then just screw it in. If I undo this a second, I can gauge where I want the other one, which is going to be about there. I'll mark it. You want it just so that the lid sort of comes back a little, but not too much. There we go, just on the gap there. Put a mark on. Drill that one. Put a screw in, and we've got the retainer all sorted out there too. And there we are, hopefully, yep, that's just perfect. Almost there now, folks. These brackets which hold the strap are going to take a lot of weight, so I'm going to bolt those in using some of these M6 6mm bolts. Now these are obviously far too long and they're going to stick out on the inside, but I'm going to drill the holes, I'm going to bolt them in, and then I'll just chop them off with a hacksaw and then just take off any burrs with a file from there. I've measured the halfway point of the box here. Just put that on and drill the holes. Don't get too far up, you don't want to split the wood. The first one. Don't forget to put the ring in, which I nearly did. There we go. And now I can drill for the second one. And once again, put the bolt in, bolt on the other side, repeat on the other side, and we're good to go for putting the strap on. So that's everything attached now then, folks, apart from the strap. This one I happened to steal off an old bag I had out in the shed. I'm sure you'll probably have something similar. If not, if you want to make one, you could go off and buy that seatbelt webbing, and they're very easy to convert into straps as well. This just makes things so much easier though. I'll put that on, clip on the other side, like so, and that's the box sorted out. Very lightweight. The only thing I've got to do now is to connect it to the framework itself, and I'm just going to bolt down through just probably 4 screws, maybe 6 screws, straight down through the wood into the aluminium, and then we can show you the final thing. So that's all neatly bolted in now. I've cut off the ends of the bolts. It's actually not too bad at all. I've just noticed I've got a little bit of screw sticking out here, which I'll have to just file down. But other than that, the strap side of things is pretty much fine. As usual, there's always something I forget, and I've just noticed, if I could just remove this strap a second. I did say we were going to have decorative strips on, didn't I? And they're not just decorative, they're protective. So I am going to just take a little bit of time to put a couple of screws into these things and just make it all nice and neat. Back shortly, eh? So the absolute final thing I've got to do then, folks, is to just screw down inside the box into the frame itself here. And once I've done that, the only other thing I've got to do is show you how the thing works. And here we are, all bolted together. As you can see, I've got 6 screws through the wood and into the metalwork. I've also adjusted the legs so they're a little lower down, and that means that when I sit down in the box, it's going to be at the right height for me. So let's give it a go, shall we? Fingers crossed, eh, folks? So here's the box, and here's me sitting on it. As you can see, nice and solid, and remember, I weigh over 200 pounds or 100 kilos. So if it'll take my weight, if you're less than me, you should be good to go. Okay, so this is how it works on the bank, everyone. If you look down, you'll see that this is not level, and this back area here is off the ground. So the plan is, rather than trying to raise the front up, which would mean your legs are further off the ground, what you do is you lower the back. Get it to more or less level. Same on this side. Snip it up. And there you go. So that's it. That's all there is to it. Just lower rather than raise, and you'll have a really comfortable seating platform for the rest of the day. So that's it then, folks. That's how you build a lightweight fishing tackle box with adjustable legs. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you got something out of it. Just remember, when you're setting up, you shorten the legs rather than lengthening them. You don't want to have your legs and your feet dangling off the ground. Anyway, till the next time, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. If you want to subscribe, you can. And until the next time, bye for now.